All right, everybody, for today, what we're going to do to review for this week's test, we're going to go over your homework 11.5 from Friday or Thursday if you're in my period one. So you should have this handout out and ready to go. If you already completed this homework and turned it in, work on today's assignment. You have everything you need for that anyways. All right, so here we go. The following box plot represents the amount of money people spend on groceries per week. So remember, when you're looking at a box plot, one of the first things I like to do is write 25% in the whisker, 25% on this part of the box, 25%, even if it's smaller still, and then this whisker is also 25%. So that's the first thing I like to do. The second thing I like to do is I need to highlight five numbers. The first number is the last dot. So the last dot is somewhere in there. So I'm going to say the number 25 is important to us. The next point would be right here, right where the box begins. So 50, that's Q1. Remember, this is your lowest amount that somebody spends. This is Q1 right here. Look at that, right in the middle. So 75, right in the middle there, is my median, the M. Right here, right in the middle, would be an 85. So 85 is what we call our Q3. And finally, the most money spent by someone, 100. These are the five numbers we should always highlight. The beginning of the box, the end of the box, the median, and of course your min and your max. Once we do that, we are able to answer any question they throw at us. So for instance, what was the smallest amount someone spent on groceries? That's this dot. You don't look at the grid, you look here. This is the last dot. The minimum was 25. So there's our answer for that one. What was the largest is the next question. What was the largest amount someone spent on groceries? Well, again, I look at my box plot. Don't look down here, look up here. The box plot ends right here. This is the max. So someone spent $100 on groceries for the week. All right, next question here. What is the median? Well, again, that's why we mark things. Look, our median is 75, so $75 is the median amount. And finally, the last question, there it is. We knew a percent was coming. Well, here it is. What percent of people spend less than 75? So here's what I do. If I want to know what less than 75 is, well, here's the 75 mark right there. Look at that, 75. And they said go less. Well, that means 25 and 25. So I'm going through two groups. So 25 and 25. There's the 50% of people that spend that amount. Oh, there is one more question. What percent spent more than $50? Okay, let me go back up there. Percent more than 50. So here's the 50. So that would be like right around there. They said more than 50. That means I got to take that 25, that 25, that 25. Well, three quarters, it would be 75%. And just like that, we're done with that problem. But again, you need to break down that box plot just the way we did here. Highlight the five numbers and write your percentages, which, yes, they're always 25 for each section. Now, in question number two, question number two says, describe the shape of distribution for this histogram. Now notice, when I look at this histogram, if I were to kind of draw it, see, there's kind of like a little tail here towards the end, and the tail is on the left side. So when I'm looking at my word wall, when the tail is on the left, well, then we say it skews left because the tail end is on the left side. So we say skew left. Now, one of the other things we mentioned in class was try to give everything a number. So notice, this is the number 6. It's just over 6. So I'm going to say 7. The little tail's getting in the way. This one is above the 7, but under the 12. We're going to ballpark it. So we're going to say 10. This one looks like it's right on the 24. So I'm just going to call it 24. This one is under the 30 in between 24. Let's go with 28. Again, it's not perfect, but it should do. And this one looks like it's right on the line for 12, so we'll say 12. One of the reasons why we want to write the numbers on top of each rectangle is so I can answer questions like letter B. See, letter B says, how many people donated more than 60? All right, more than 60. So you see, this is the 60 line. It says it right there. That's where 60 would end. So if it's more than 60, I'm going that way, which means I'm going to take that 28 and the 12. And of course, just like a lot of other stats, I'm just going to add the 28 plus the 12, which says 40 people did that. 40 people spent $60 or more. And then finally, the last little question on this, which amount was least donated? Well, amount donated, that means one of these groups here. So I just have to give a group. And it says this is the smallest number is 7. So the smallest amount people donated was between $1, see dollars, to $20. So they donated between $1 to $20. That would be the least amount donated for the entire thing. So again, when you're working with histograms, one, write a number for each rectangle. Sometimes you have to ballpark it a little bit, and that's fine. But that does help with the work we have to do later on. Okay, let's move on to number 3. Again, this is just a review, and if you didn't do homework 11.5, well, then you should be writing everything down we're doing because there's some more easy points for you. All right, number 3. You conduct a survey that has 500 students that asks 500 students whether they prefer an iPhone or Galaxy for their mobile device. 320 males responded, 215 of which prefer iPhones, 95 females prefer Galaxy. Complete the two-way table. Well, notice all of these numbers are already here. So you're not being asked to figure out where to put them. They're already done. What you have to do is figure out the rest. And yes, you need to bring in a little common sense. See, I like this number right here. This number is easy to find. Why? Because I already know the total. I'm looking up and down. I know the total. And if this was 215, well, then all I have to do is go 320 minus the 215. Again, just using a little common sense there. And we get an answer, of course, for that block that says it would be 105. That's the answer right there, 105. All right, well, there is another one I can do now. Since I know that this is 105 and this one is 95, well, then just add these two together. And if I add these two together, well, then I get 200 because it was 105 plus the 95. And that's how we got this 200 right there. All right, let's see what else we can do. Look at these. We have two numbers. That means if I'm missing just one block, this is the grand total of everything. So if I want to fill out this block, I'm going to take that 500 and I'm going to subtract the 320. And once I get my calculator going and subtract them, we can easily see that this number should be 180 right there. And you see, it's like a little snowball effect. Now that I have this number, well, I can work my way up. If I want to find out what to put into this box right here, well, I already know the total, it's 180. All I have to do now is just subtract the 95 from it. So I'm going to do 180 minus the 95. That's what's going to give me this. So you let the calculator there take over. We get an answer of 85. And finally, we needed one last total. Well, total means you have to add. So then all I have to do is just add straight across, and 215 plus the 85 is going to give me 300, which, by the way, I also knew it was 300 because I could have subtracted 500 minus 200 to get the same 300. So again, this is all based on just adding and subtracting. Now, when we look at the following questions, this is why we told you last week to look at your word wall. It says, give me a percent. Well, remember, when they say percent, that means you got to start off with a fraction. And they said, give me the percent of males who would rather have a Galaxy phone. All right, well, first of all, how many males want a Galaxy phone? Here's Galaxy, there's male, so 105. But the number I'm going to put at the bottom is the total. But remember, I'm not doing the total for the entire group. They just want to know the total for males. The total for males, go straight down, was 320. So the total for male was 320. Now I can let my calculator take over. And this is just basic division here, nothing else. So 105 divided by 320, I get 0.328. Now my answer is either 32 or 33, but that 8 says I have to round it up. So I'm going with 33. So 0.33, which means 33%. That's why we use 2 decimals, because when I write my percent, it should be 2 spaces over. All right, the next question and the last one for this type says, what's the percent for females that prefer iPhones? Again, as soon as they say percent, it means write a fraction. I'm going to need the total, but not for the whole group. We said female only, so the total for female will be at the bottom. So how many females prefer iPhones? Let's see, female iPhone was 85. And how many total females are there? Well, here's female. Go straight down. There was 180 of them, so 180. And now again, we let the calculator take over. 85 divided by 180. Well, here comes the calculator again. Look at what it says. I cover that up. It's either 47 or 48. Those are the only 2 options, 47 or 48. Well, that's just a 2 on the side. Then I'm sticking with the 47. So 0.47, which means 47%, because we move the decimal twice over when we write percents. All right, so again, percent means make a fraction, but to fill out that box, all we did was add and subtract. Those were the basics. Okay. All right, moving on to number 4. So for number 4, it says we have a frequency table that shows the number of students that have an iPhone, Android, and an LG phone. All right. Now, it's already filled out for us, so we don't have to do that work. But it says, how many students use an iPhone? Well, here's an iPhone, and they didn't say which grade, so that means all of them. Well, then all you have to do is 300 plus 100 plus 150 plus 200. Get that calculator going. Type it in very carefully. So how many people like an iPhone from the people surveyed? 750. That's how many people prefer an iPhone. But that's it. That's all we have to do. Now look at the next one. How many non-freshmen, so do not bring in the freshmen here, own a Samsung? All right, well, here's Samsung. Well, they said not freshmen, then don't use the 100. Then that means I'm going to use only these 3 numbers here. And what am I going to do with those 3 numbers? Well, like a lot of stats, I'm just adding 250 plus 100 plus 50, which makes it 400 students. That's how many of them have a Samsung that are not freshmen. All right, let's check out the next question. Again, basics, but you just have to read carefully. That's the thing about Wednesdays or Tuesday's test coming up. You just have to read carefully. Which brand has the highest number of users from 11th and 12th grade combined? Okay, well, there's 3 types of phone. Let's see. iPhone, we have Samsung, and we have LG. But I am combining the 11th and the 12th grade. All right, so iPhone, 11th graders is 150 plus the 200. That's it, just 2 numbers. So then that's 350. Samsung, 100 plus the 50 makes it 150. And now LG, 10 and 20. Wow, 10 plus 20, so 30. So the question is, which brand has the highest number of users? Well, I think it's obvious who the winner is here. The 350 is the bigger number, so more people use an iPhone or own an iPhone versus every other phone. But we only use the numbers they tell me, 11th and 12th grade only. Don't bring other numbers that aren't needed. And then it says, how many freshmen use a Samsung? Okay, so there it is. I don't have to do math. They said freshmen, Samsung only, right away, We can write an answer of 100. Look at that. Ninth grade, Samsung, only 100 kids. And there's the answer. No work needed for that one. That one was just a straightforward question. Once again, we are doing this as a review. For those of you that were done with this, you should be working on the other assignment or using this video to help you do those other questions. Let's flip the page. All right, and then we had these dot plots. Now, this dot plot was a little bit different than the one we had done before. See, it says a group of students were asked how often they visit Starbucks per week. Their responses are listed below. Boy number 1 said, no, I don't, 0. Then put a dot right there again. These are the actual answers that boys gave. It's not that I'm gonna put 7 dots, 6 dots, 5 dots, no. These are the answers they're giving me. So I'm putting a dot for each answer. Boy 1 said 0. Boy 2 said 12. Then I put a dot on 12. Boy 3 said 4. I put a dot on 4. Boy number 4 said 7. So 7 gets a dot. There's a 6. 6 gets a dot. There's a 1. 1 gets a dot. There's a 5. 5 gets a dot. There's another 5. Finally, I have one that has 2 dots in it. The 4 also gets another dot. And then finally, someone with the 10. Whatever the number is, that's where I put a dot. So how many boys were surveyed? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 boys. There were 10 boys surveyed. So that means there was also 10 girls surveyed. All right, so let's take care of the girls there now. So remember, these are their actual responses per person. I'm not going to put 6 dots somewhere. No, I'm going to put a dot on 6. So here we go with the girls there. 6, that gets a dot. Not 6 dots, just 1. 8 gets a dot. 8 again, another dot. Another 8, so now 3 dots. A 2, so I put a dot. A 5, that gets a dot. 2 again, so another dot on 2. 4 gets a dot. And look at that, the last 2 are 2 3s, so 2 dots on the 3. Just like that, we're done with our dot plot. So, just like before, they want me to answer all these separate questions about it. So let me move it up so we can see the first one. So remember, we already have a dot plot ready. We know there's 10 boys and 10 girls that were asked this question. So it says, calculate the mean, the median, and the mode. I'm gonna go with the easy one, the most. So if I'm gonna do the most that somebody did for the boys, see, here's the boys. Well, this one had 2 dots. This one had 2 dots. Remember, it's okay to have 2 modes. So 4 and the 5 is what we put down on the paper. We have more than one answer. For the girls, now that one, yeah, there's 2 here, but this one has 3. This is the most. So 8 is the mode. Yes, you can have more than one mode. Keep that in mind. All right. All right, let's do the mean. Now, the mean means I'm going to add all my numbers. Every dot is a number. So I'm going to go 0, plus 1, plus 4, plus 4, plus 5, plus 5. Every dot is a number. But don't forget, you also have a list up here where you can just add all these numbers up. All right, if you're going to do the mean, you can just add them up there. So the mean, just don't forget, I'm going to divide by, there was 10 boys, 10 answers. All right, let's see. I'm going to take my calculator here. I could use the dots, whatever we need here. All right, the first dot is 0, so I'm not going to write it. So there's 1 plus, look at that, 2 dots on 4. So 4 plus 4 plus 5 plus 5. And then there's just 1 6, 1 7, 1 10, and 1 12. All right, I got 54 for that. So 54 divided by 10 on my calculator is 5.4. There's the mean for the boys, 5.4 for the mean. All right, let's do the mean for the women here, for the ladies. So for the girls, the mean. Remember, there's also 10 dots. So I'm going to divide by 10 because there's 10 dots. All right, here I go. 2 and 2 is 4. Yeah, just get my calculator here. 2 plus 2, because there's 2 dots, plus 3 because there's 2 dots, plus 4 plus 5 plus 6. Now there's 3 eighths. So I'm going to go plus 8, 8, 8, 3 eighths. And then that's it. Those are my 10 numbers. So 49 for that one. So I'll put a 49. And then on my calculator, I'll divide by 10, which makes it 4.9. And that would be the mean for the girls. So 4.9 down here. All right, which brings us down to the median. So when we're doing the median, remember, that's when we cancel things out. One from the left, one from the right. We work our way towards the middle. So here we go. Let's go with the median for the boys. One from the left, one from the right. Left, right, left, right, left, right. And that's it. Look, I'm left with 2 dots on the 5. Now, technically, you could do this. 5 plus 5 divided by 2. But when you work that out, yeah, it's still going to be a 5. So there's the median for the boys, 5. Okay, so now let's talk about the girls here. Let's see. Let's cancel some of those dots out. One from the left, one from the right. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. Oh, so that's it. It was these two. If not, I would have canceled everything. So you see now this one has a 4 and a 5. So when I'm doing the median for the girls, I'm going to go 4 plus 5 divided by 2. And then the calculator is 9 over 2. So it says 4.5, and there's the median. Okay. So here come the following questions. 2 additional females were surveyed. One went to Starbucks 7 times. The other one only went once. So think about it. If we're only talking about the females, and remember, the median was here. So if my median happened at 4.5 between these dots, but they said you're going to add a dot for the 1. So I'm going to just put a circle. You're adding a dot there. And then they said you're also going to add a dot for 7 times. So that would be here. Well, since I didn't put any dots in this area, then the question is, what will happen to the median? Well, nothing, because I would have crossed them out anyways. So explain how this affects the median. Stays the same. It stays the same because 1 dot was added to each side of the median. That's why they would cancel each other out. 1 dot was added to each side of the median, so nothing changed. And then they said, well, how's it going to change the mean? Well, look, honestly, the best way to figure out how the mean is going to change is just redo the mean. But this is why you always show your work. They said the mean for females. This was our mean for females, 49 over 10. So this was the original 49 over 10, which was 4.9, right? This was the original. But remember, they just said you're going to add someone that went 7 and someone that went once, which means all I'm going to do is stretch this out. We're adding a 7. We're adding a 1. But yes, that means there's more than 10 people now. Now, instead of just having 10, well, there's 2 more numbers up on top. So 49 plus 7 plus 1 is 57. I'm going to divide that by 12. And the calculator says 4.75. So 4.8 basically is the new mean. And if you notice, the OG was 4.9. Now the new one is like 4.8. So then what do we say? Explain how this affected the mean. It's lower. Or you could say decreases. And then that's it. Remember, this question is going to this test is going to be heavy on vocabulary. That's why you have to use your word well as much as possible. Okay. Again, you have no excuse not to turn this in as soon as we're done. especially since we're about to see every problem. All right, here we go. Mr. White recorded their friends' number of states visited. So John visited 12 states, Sarah 8. You get the idea. But that was Mr. White. This is the info for them. And then there's Miss Nino. So here's the Miss Nino dot plot they did. Recorded their friends' number of states visited. Okay. Now, there's no question yet until you actually go down here. And it says between Mr. White and Miss Nino. All right, here comes the question. Who had the larger spread? Remember, when they say the word spread, you should have written it in your word wall already. Spread has to do with range. So all I have to do is find the range for both of these. And when I do range, all I have to do is remember biggest number minus the smallest. Max minus the min. So when I look at here, the biggest number is 12 minus the smallest number. Well, there's a 1. So then the range is 11. That would be for Mr. White right there. Well, now I'm going to do the same thing for Miss Nino. Remember, range is biggest number minus smallest number, max minus min. So the biggest number, there it is 8. Minus, there's a dot on the 3. I'm not going to say a 1. There's no dot there. This is where I see a dot at 3. So the range here is 5. So the question is, if the range is 11 and the range is 5, which one had the larger spread? Well, clearly that's the bigger number. So Mr. White had the larger spread. And I know there's not a lot of room to write it here, but it was Mr. White. And the reason for that, larger range. That's the reason. All right. 2 more problems here. And again, just quick review. I know it's a Monday. We got to do this quick. So let's finish this up. This problem here does have a square root around it, but only 1. So remember, there's only one thing in math that can get rid of a square root, and that, of course, is a power of 2. So we give both sides a power of 2, just like the word wall says. A power of 2 and a radical cancel, leaving me with x plus 9. But now you need to do 4 squared. No, this is not an 8. This is not 4 times 2. It's 4 times 4. So there's our 16. And with one easy step, we find out that our answer is just the 7, and there we go. Again, powers of 2 and radicals cancel each other. That's why we bring them in. Then when you look at number 8, and it's the same concept, but you might say, yeah, but I have 2 radicals. Yeah, but the only way to get into the inside of these radicals is to give both of them a power of 2, just like I did earlier. It's the same rule. They will cancel each other out, leaving me with 7x minus 3. They will cancel each other out, leaving me with the 2x plus 5. And now we're down to basics. This is when in the beginning of the school year, we put a line down the middle. And of course, you can't solve for 2x's. Well, then you get rid of the smallest one. That's usually what we do. So 5x minus 3 is equal to 5. Basic solving means I'm going to move the 3 now. So 5x is equal to 8. And then finally, we divide by our number 5. And you already know that if it doesn't work out nicely, it's okay to leave it as a fraction, because they didn't say round off. They didn't say use a decimal. Sorry, they didn't say use a calculator. So that's how we leave it. All right, with that said, again, no reason not to turn this assignment in. We just went over every problem. It was really for you to check your answers, but in case you didn't do it, you should have been writing along. Put your name on it, make sure you drop it off, and get to work on today's last review for tomorrow or the next day's test. Have a wonderful day, everybody. See you next time.